Minister will be late. Honorable members, the NCOP was supposed to join us for these meetings of the budget hearings. They will not join us because of other NCOP programs. So you have that as well. The next announcement, honorable members, is that the oversight visit, Honorable de Blanche, we have attended to it. The oversight visit was supposed to be the Friday and the Saturday. Now, honorable members, we have not done an oversight visit because every time our oversight visit overlaps with programs of Parliament. We now really have run out of time. We cannot postpone our oversight visits. I'm sure all political parties, you are under pressure by your political parties to do oversight visit. So the oversight visit will happen the Saturday and the Sunday. They will open up all the necessary buildings for us for Saturday and Sunday, but I cannot postpone the oversight visit. Honorable Shembeni, do you have problems with that?
No, I don't.
Honorable members, do you all agree that the oversight visit must continue?
Chairperson?
Chair.
Yes, Honorable. I see Honorable Whitfield, Honorable Groenewald. Groenewald, you can start.
Thank you, Chair, but do I understand you said the Saturday and the Sunday, what happened to the Friday? Why? I mean, there's...
Honorable Groenewald.
Okay.
Honorable Groenewald, there's house sittings on the Friday. Honorable Whitfield, and then Meshu.
Chair, thank you. I wanted to just confirm that because I received a draft program and we booked flights accordingly and made arrangements to conclude on Saturday at lunchtime. So, but I wasn't aware that there were house sittings on the Friday.
Honorable members, let us all agree. Honorable Meshu, before you respond. Honorable members, let us all agree on the first point. The oversight visit must take place. How and when? The full day on Saturday and travel back on Sunday. That is my proposal. Honorable Meshu.
Chairperson, thank you. I would like to tender my apology for Sunday. I will not be available.
We understand, Honorable Meshu. We will just do it one day on Saturday and travel back on Sunday. Is that acceptable to you, Honorable Meshu, Reverend?
Well, if it's Sunday is just for traveling, that will suit me because I will be there on Saturday, but not Sunday.
Thank you very much, but the full day on Saturday.
Okay.
All right. Honorable members, full day Saturday.
Agreed, Chairperson.
Agreed, Honorable Mapatsu, we must do this. You agree?
Yeah.
Agreed,
Yes.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sheikh Imam. Are you coming to the house on Thursday?
Yes, I am.
Are you asking questions to the President?
Supplementary question, Chairperson.
All right. Thank you
Not
very
our
much,
turn.
Honorable members. Welcome, Honorable Sheikh Imam. Honorable members, the next item that takes care of the NCOP, the oversight. The next item is that the matter of Honorable McBride has now gone to the Constitutional Court. You will know that we appointed Honorable McBride. We are also cited as a respondent to that court case. So the court hearing is now going to the Constitutional Court. Do you have any questions on that? If not, honorable members, I would like to thank the department and the minister. The minister and the deputy minister are not here yet, but I would sincerely like to thank the department for the very early presentations of their presentations. They sent the presentations very, very early. All the generals, I am absolutely impressed. I don't know if it was because we were on recess, but the presentations were sent very early, and I think that allowed all the members to do justice to the budget hearings. I see General Mfazi? Is General Sotole here? I don't see. Where's General Sotole? General Sotole, are you here?
Good morning, Chair, and good
Oh,
morning,
wonderful,
honorable members. We are here.
wonderful, General. On which name are you, General Sotole?
I might be on, I'm on General KJ Sitole.
No. General, then this my phone is hacked because here it says no Sotole here on my list. It
Then there
says
must be
Lieutenant
Sergeant
General Zulu.
Kibakwade.
It says Zulu, Dimpani, Vuma, Masimola, Mfazi, Rit, Sentumule, Nsia, Rit is again here. This Rit, why is he here twice? No, something is going wrong here.
You are
There's two Rits here. Who's this one that's crashing my meeting? General Sotole, why do I have two Rits here? Please explain.
I think, Honorable Chair, he has connected, but also his office has connected. He will correct it.
So they connected him just in case he's late. So
I suspect, Chair.
this thing that the generals are crooks, this thing is true. General Sotole, is this thing true that your generals are crooks?
Sometimes we need crooks to catch crooks.
General Sotole, we are on live TV.
No, I'm just saying we apply such tactics to catch the crooks, but we're not necessarily crooks.
Honorable members, Honorable Sheikh Imam is going to be leaving us early. You are welcome. General Sotole, thank you very much. Your presentations were early and we really appreciate it. We could go through those presentations thoroughly. That was a very, very good presentation. Dr. Kinnis, the one on the Chinese, do you maybe have that letter of the Chinese?
Chair, I'll just find it for you. Just give me a minute.
Can you just find it for me while I'm discussing it? Honorable members, we are having a Zoom meeting with the Chinese delegation. You remember the Chinese visited us during our first year. Last year, we were supposed to visit the Chinese Republic. The People's Republic of China, we were unable to do that because of COVID. They are now going to have a Zoom meeting with us. They have requested the names of the participants, the members who were there that will be in the meeting. They have sent us the list of their members who will be in the meeting. They would also like to know the number and the names of the members who will speak. That is unfortunately how the People's Republic of China works and operates. Honorable members, with your permission, the chair will make the opening remarks and the welcoming. The chair will also do the opening speech. I have then requested that Honorable Groenewald is the first speaker, and I don't see Honorable Majosi. I then asked that Honorable Majosi as a woman be the second speaker, and then that the third speaker be Honorable Mapatsu because he is the whip. Honorable members, do you have any problems with those three speakers? Honorable Majosi, welcome. Do you have any problems with those speakers? Would you like me to change it? Honorable members, I'm waiting for you.
I don't have a
Thank you.
problem.
Honorable Blanche.
Chairperson, just a question. How did you arrive at that decision? Is that the decision that you took on your own?
Honorable Blanche, those are just the ones who are going to be doing inputs. It doesn't mean that you are not going to speak in the meeting. I did not arrive on the, I consulted with the staff. We decided that the chairperson must speak, the whip must speak. We need another woman. We didn't take that woman from the ANC. So we took the woman from the IFP. I am asking that if the opposition parties, if you can all agree that we let Honorable Groenewald speak, and that you be allowed opportunities to speak in between, that the formal speeches or the formal input be made by those three members. Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you very much for the chairperson. It seems like we don't have a choice, but I respect your decision. The only concern I have with the Chinese influence in this country, are they even dictating in the portfolio committee who should and who should speak? But thank you very much. I'll accept your decision. Thank you.
Honorable Sheikh Imam, I lost you. I don't know if it is my connectivity or yours. You said you
Can I
accepted.
get? Yes, Chairperson, it doesn't appear that we have a choice. However, I respect your decision, and with the limited number of people allowed to participate, I can understand that. However, I have a concern, and that is that the Chinese, who already have a great influence in this country, are even influencing decisions in the portfolio committee. So I hope they're not dictating to us. But thank you very much. I accept your decision, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Sheikh Imam, I saw the smile on your face. They are not dictating to us. Honorable members, the three names I will give will be on specific topics. Let me clarify that. The other members, you will be given an opportunity to speak. It will just be that those members will be giving specific topics. We will cut short their time, and you should indicate to me if you would also like to speak. It is a Zoom meeting, and we would like to manage our time very carefully. Honorable Mapatsu, would you like to say something?
No, Chair, I'm fine.
All right. Dr. Kinnis, can you flight that invitation, please?
Okay, Chair.
The one where they
I'll-
say topics?
Yeah, it is, Chair. I'm going to just take you through. That is the agenda. There's the introduction and keynote speech from the Chinese chairperson and then from yourself. You each have 5 minutes initially to introduce your delegations, and then you make a speech for 10 minutes each. Then under point 2, Chair, communication and interaction, there's a speech by the vice chairperson, and the topic is introducing policing in community governance. So there, a member of the PC on police will speak for 8 minutes, including the time for consecutive interpretation.
My
So that will-
apologies, Doctor. We are
Yes, Chair.
actually saying they must speak for 4 minutes because 4 minutes will be in interpretation.
Chair, I'm not sure how long the interpretation
So,
will take.
let's say the speeches must be 5 minutes and 3
Yeah.
minutes for interpretation.
Okay, Chair. The third, so that will be the first member on the portfolio committee, except yourself, Chair.
Yes, so that will be Honorable Groenewald. It's introducing policing in community governance. That's your topic.
The second one is on point 4, a PC on police member speaks on introducing policing and the related supervision. I suppose that's how the police are managed. The
Police and relating supervision, that is Honorable Majosi.
Yeah, and then number 6 there, Chair, is a PC on police member speaks for 8 minutes again, introducing practices of community policing. So thereafter, there's a question and answer session for 30 minutes, so members can participate there as well, Chair. Thank you. And then this,
honorable members, could we agree that during those 30 minutes that we allow Honorable Shembeni, Sheikh Imam, Whitfield, Terblanche, Reverend Meshu, we make a point of who will be speaking there? Are we in agreement?
Agreed, Chairperson.
Thank you very
Agreed,
much.
sir.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, if there's any other announcement.
Delay. Delay.
Someone is talking here in my meeting. Honorable Faku, switch off your mic, please. Honorable Faku, you disrupting my meeting.
I'm sorry, Chair. I agree with your proposal.
Thank you, Honorable Faku. Honorable members, if there's any other business you would like to highlight to me, you can do so now. We haven't seen each other for a while.
Chairperson.
Yes, you may, Honorable Sheikh Imam.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be out of order, but the Chinese delegation chairperson that we are meeting, am I at liberty to address the high levels of human rights abuses in China and how their police deal with the problem?
Honorable Sheikh Imam, why do you now want to? We are not talking about human rights abuses in China. We're talking about policing.
With due respect, but the question is, how does the police deal with the human rights abuses that's taking place in China? It's very, very important. We know how we deal with it as South African police service and law enforcement in our country. I'd like to see whether they are influenced by government or whether they're independent and whether they act appropriately, which I know they're not. So I'm not just sure whether I'll be spoiling this meeting if I ask those questions, but I'm very much tempted to, Chairperson.
Honorable Faku and then Honorable Mapatsu and then Honorable Meshu.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Perhaps let me first maybe try and respond to what Honorable Sheikh is raising. I think, as you are saying that we'll be discussing mostly policing, and maybe some of these questions he has are the questions that maybe we need to have the engagement that we need to have with the China delegation. I don't think maybe you as a chairperson are at liberty to respond on behalf of China. Let us allow that process to unfold when it happens. But Chair, I just want to mention one issue. There's a case that I have raised in the committee in 2019 of a young lady who was brutally murdered by her boyfriend, Busisiwe Ngwadla. And after we had discussions with the National Commissioner when he came down to the Eastern Cape, we want to say that today I'm in court, even now, shall be in and out. The case started yesterday, but it's proceeding today. I just wanted to highlight that. Thank you very much. It's one of the cold cases that we had in the province of gender-based violence.
Thank you very much, Honorable Faku. Are you receiving support from the provincial commissioner?
Let us discuss that outside the meeting, Chair.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's an off-record discussion. I'll also raise it with the National Commissioner. Honorable Mapatsu and then
but just one point, Chair. Sorry, there were police that arrested the perpetrator in Cape Town, and those police are also here today. Just to thank the leadership. I know Minister Bekele was also involved in getting this person arrested when he was in Cape Town. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Faku, I think you should also thank the National Commissioner for coming to your area. Not that the other members should all ask the National Commissioner to come to their constituencies. Honorable Faku, please thank the National Commissioner.
Thank you, General Sithole. Siyabulela singabantu baseMpuma Koloni, but let me just also thank you on behalf of the committee. You know that we have been very firm on the issues of gender-based violence, but we want to thank you for taking the opportunity to come down. Of course, there's still gender-based violence cases that are happening on a daily basis. Our program has not changed, but at least there's an improvement from where you have left off, especially with the court cases that we had. But every day, as a person that is leading gender-based violence cases in my province, there's a serious issue, as I've raised it with yourself. Thank you very much. But the National Commissioner has declared, like Buffalo City, one of the gender-based violence sites, and there's some programs that will happen. But after we had a meeting with him, there's not much that has happened, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, National Commissioner, for assisting the members of the Portfolio Committee. Honorable, yes. I've got
Shaky Mum.
Mapatsu and then Meshu.
And then
Shaky Mum,
Shaky
do you
Mum.
want to speak?
Yes,
Okay,
Chair, thank
could
you.
I take Mapatsu, Meshu, and then Shaky Mum? Mapatsu?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Mine, it was regarding the agenda with the Chinese, with the question raised by Honorable Sheikh. I think we have been given the items that we should concentrate on. And I would not be comfortable to then enter into the space of human rights abuse in China when we're discussing the issues of policing. It might be interpreted as if we're interfering in their sovereignty and how they do things in that country. And I don't think we have a position as a portfolio committee, because this is sometimes it's a country-to-country relationship. So we might really, I'm worried that if we get into that space, when we have items that it's an exchange of how do we do things. But if we get into them saying they've got human rights abuse and all those things, I see it as a problem, Chair, and I want to persuade my Honorable Sheikh that let's not enter into that space. Let's enter into the item agendas and leave this one of the human rights aside, Chair. I want to plead. That's my plead, Chair.
I agree, Honorable Mapatsu, and I'm sure our brother, Honorable Sheikh Imam, you will understand that these meetings are diplomatic meetings, and they are recorded on live television. They will also be recorded on a Chinese CCTV. So can we just also be moderate in what we think we are going to do? Honorable Meshu and then Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm glad that Honorable Sheikh Imam raised the question of human rights abuses. While I understand and agree with what you just said and Honorable Mapatwe, the fact is that while police are effecting arrests, there are methods that are used that, according to our constitution, are not acceptable. So we would want, obviously, to have the liberty of asking them how they effect arrests, and if people are being abused during the arrests. I don't see how you can separate the two. If people are abused and their rights are undermined during an arrest, what is the recourse? So the question, obviously, a number of people would ask about this meeting that will be taking place between this committee and that our counterparts in China, is whether South African police are expected to learn from how the Chinese effects arrest, or the other way around. Obviously, there has to be willingness to learn from both sides. South African police must learn from the Chinese police when it comes to issues and methods they believe will enhance their capacity and also their effectiveness. And also the Chinese should be expected to learn from the South African police who are doing what is within the confines of our laws and our constitution. So the issue of separating effecting and arrest from human rights is going to be very difficult for us. So I would really plead that although we are going to be diplomatic, we will try to be diplomatic, but at the same time that I would request that members be allowed to ask questions and raise issues of concern. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable members, I have never ever stifled you. So, honorable members, I have always allowed you to ask questions, even if they are difficult. And you know that as a chairperson, I have sometimes you've complained about the time I give you, but I've always allowed all of you to speak and to speak about your matters honestly and frankly. And I have never been in the business of censoring members in the portfolio committee. With that said, Honorable Mapatsu, lower your hand. And Honorable Sheikh Imam, you are the last speaker on this matter, and then I will close this matter.
All right. Chair, before I go to this matter, I just want to take this opportunity of thanking our National Commissioner. Is always available to take a call at any hours of the day or night. And thank you for your intervention in KwaZulu-Natal. Your provincial commissioner has come to the party and a lot has been done, but I want to urge the portfolio committee through you, Chairperson, to give an opportunity for a presentation to be made to the committee on how serious the issue of complacency and corruption and collusion with law enforcement is on the ground, and how difficult it is making it for people like Commissioner Sitole to be able to get officers to be compliant and do the right thing. But I'd like us to get a clear picture to watching first-hand video footage, which I think I've spoken to you previously about, Chair, and we said we will arrange something. So that's the first thing. But thank you very much. There has been some improvements, and I think heads will be rolling shortly. Now, the issue of this particular one, your Chair, on the issue of China, it's very painful to see what's happening to the people in China. And I think you allow us the opportunity through diplomatic means to be able to raise concerns. But more importantly, you can't separate the issue when there's human rights violation from the work of law enforcement, because they have a responsibility. And what I want to know is, how do they deal with this? We know how we deal with it in South Africa. How do they deal with these things in terms of the high levels of human rights abuses? And we're talking about millions of people that are suffering in China. In fact, if I want to be very blunt, Chairperson, we should not be having a cordial relationship with countries that violate human rights. But that's a debate for another day and not for this platform. So I just think that, given a little opportunity, and I know that we don't want to touch any nerves, but to get a clearer picture, how do they deal? How independent are they from the state? Are they able to act accordingly and protect their people and that kind of thing? I think that if I can be given that opportunity, I think Honorable Meshu has covered me to some extent. It will help us, getting a clearer picture of how they work. Thank you.
Honorable members, that closes the topic on the Chinese delegation and our Zoom meeting with them. The last that I'd like to comment on, Honorable National Commissioner, will you be able to please assist us that we are able to go to the Forensic Science Laboratory and the Central Firearm Registry on that Saturday? Babawa, Doc, what date is that Saturday that we're going? Babawa?
Chair, I think it's the 14th, but let me just confirm on the program. For you.
But you can confirm later in the meeting.
Okay, Chair.
Honorable members, Dr. Kinis, please stay on. When is the Strath plan?
Chair, at this stage, the strat plan in terms of the committee program is the 28th and 29th of May. That's what we're proposing. That's the change that we're proposing to the program.
Sorry, what dates are that?
The 28th and the 29th of May, Chair.
All right. Honorable members, what we are requesting is that we have a more or less a midterm strategic plan of the committee where we do not just receive inputs from police as we do in the portfolio committee meetings, but where we have an honest and frank discussion in the committee. It is an in-house meeting. It will not be televised. It will be a contact session, a physical session. We will adhere to all protocols of social distancing and COVID-19. And I would like to hear your opinions on whether you think I should go ahead. Honorable Mapatsu?
Yes, Honorable Chair. I think as a committee, we just need also to sit on our own and just reflect on the work that we are doing. And this strategic workshop where we are on our own is very important, Chair. I think it should go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mapatsu. Any other members?
Chair, if I may.
Honorable Meshu?
Chairperson, it's just a question whether these days are cast in stone or there can be alternative dates, because some of us, I'm personally not available that weekend, and I really would want to be part of this strategic session. So is there any way of looking at other alternative dates, or this is cast in stone? Thank you.
Honorable Meshu, I do not have dates cast in stone. I would like all our members who would like to attend to be there. And I think that, you know, we should accommodate one another. I just think that we need a session as a committee. Quite frankly, if you have problems with the chair, where you can speak, where you have other suggestions, where you are having a problem with the program, but we don't just speak about problems, we also speak about what we want the committee to do as a strategic planning session where we say we have so many years left and this is what we want the committee to achieve in the next few years. Honorable Majosi has left us. She's not feeling well. I don't see any hands. Honorable Groenewald, are you okay with the strategic planning session? Meshu, we can accommodate a new date, but it's very difficult to get dates. Honorable Terblanche, are you happy?
Chairperson, yes, I support the idea of a session. And yes, you know, we need to arrange that. Are we going to have that online again, or what do you think?
Honorable Terblanche, I just said that I'm hoping to make it a huge venue so that you can be there physically. But obviously we have to have a huge venue so that we respect the COVID-19 regulations. I'm just afraid that some members, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. We will need a marshal there that keeps you to social distance. Honorable Terblanche, I can see you coming to shake my hand.
Before or after
fun started. But for now, would the Jacob come through?
Thank you, Ma'am.
Chairperson, and thank you very much for the presentation that was done to us, given to us.
Thank you, Ma'am.
It shows
Thank
us
you,
very
Ma'am.
clearly where the challenges are, where the good
I'm
things are.
Ma'am is interrupting us. Honorable Majosi, she says she's not left yet, but she's going to leave soon. She's not feeling well. Honorable Groenewald, are you happy?
Chairperson, we can continue, but you must understand this is an election year. I cannot commit myself that I will be there. Something can happen, but then I will apologize. But don't let me be the reason for not continuing. Thank you.
I think it should be a 1 day. Honorable members, let's try to fit it into 1 day. We'll arrange the date and then come back to you. Honorable members, that takes care of all the business. I thank you for your patience, General Sotole and your team. But you know, we haven't met for a while, so I have to bring all these matters to the members. Honorable members, I now allow the National Commissioner and his team to present to us. General Sotole, please introduce your team.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and again, greetings to all honorable members, including the Deputy Minister, if he has already arrived. Chair, just quickly, our delegation in attendance, we have Lieutenant General Livia, the national head of the Hawks, with his Deputy Lieutenant General Musikidi. We've got Lieutenant General Vuma, Deputy National Commissioner for Support Services. Lieutenant General Masemula, Deputy National Commissioner for Policing and Operations. Lieutenant General Mfazi, Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection. Lieutenant General Dimbane, the CFO. Lieutenant General Reed, Divisional Commissioner Supply Chain. Lieutenant General Sintumule, Foreign Detective and Forensic Divisional Commissioner. It's a new Divisional Commissioner. Lieutenant General Nzia, Human Resources. Lieutenant General Zulu, Divisional Commissioner, Human Resource Development. Lieutenant General Khan, Legal Services. Lieutenant General Mashala, Visible Policing and Operations, that's also a new division. Lieutenant General Tabane, Protection and Security. Major General Khan, representing Crime Intelligence. Major General Mavundla, Technology Services. Major General Nkosi, Chief Executive, Audit. Major General Matlo, Chief Risk Officer. Major General Sikukuni, Crime Registrar. Major General Nzima, Component Head, Organizational Development. Major General Ruode, Component Head, Presidential Protection. Major General Manzi, Program and Project Management. Major General Rabi, Strategic Management. Brigadier Mitchell, Strategic Management. Brigadier Malahlela, Executive Secretariat in the National Commissioner's Office. Brigadier Naidu, Communication and Liaison, and Colonel KP State. Chair, just quickly so that members of the committee do not get confused with the change in leadership. There's just few confirmations we want to make. Firstly, there's a new provincial commissioner who started in KZN, and that is Lieutenant General Mkonazi after the contract of General July expired. Then again in Limpopo, there's a new provincial commissioner who started on the 1st, and that is Lieutenant General Hatebe. Then in, I think, forensic and as well as crime detection have merged to one division as a result of the responding to the constraints, and a new divisional commissioner there has been appointed, and that is Lieutenant General Kosi Sintumule. Then Lieutenant General Mhlala, who was in forensic division before, has now been moved to policing and operation, which is a measure of ORS as well as visible policing to replace Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Other appointments shall be announced after the endorsement by the minister. These are just the changes, the early changes that we wanted to bring members of the committee on board, since they will be visiting these environments. Then, Chair, with regard to the visit by the portfolio committee, Deputy National Commissioner Support Services, Lieutenant General Vuma, is going to take charge of the coordination, and we will link up with the administration of the office of the chair in the portfolio committee. We also want then to finally acknowledge the expressions by members of the portfolio committee, but also equally want to express my appreciation to members of the committee for raising issues before we even come here, because we're able to provide solutions before the committee sitting. Our presentation, Chair, is going to be led by two people. The first one is going to be Major General Rabi from Strategic Management, and then the second one is going to be the CFO, who will then be presenting the budget. If the committee is ready and the chair permit, we will then be able to give them the floor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. General Satole, thank you very much. We'll also have a discussion. I'll call you after the meeting. General Satole, you may ask your representative to start the presentation. Please do not go through the presentation word by word, line by line. All the members have received these presentations very early, so we have been able to interact with the presentations. So please ask your members and your team not to read these presentations verbatim. We've seen these presentations now. We had enough time to go through them. So can you please be brief and succinct? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Leon, you got the message from the chair. Do not rewrite, explain it, and let's keep it brief. But thank you very much. You can take the floor, Leon.
Thank you, National Commissioner. Good morning, Honourable Chair, Honourable members of the committee, in our Minister and Deputy Minister, if they have joined.
Sorry, if I might just interrupt you. General Satole, General Rabi has been absolutely amazing in assisting the members of the portfolio committee, from the members who lost their gadgets. The House Chair lost her computer gadgets. General Rabi, I would like to thank you before I forget, because everything that happens, any member of parliament that has a complaint, General Satole, I have General Rabi on speed dial. We are not in the same WhatsApp group. Anybody, if you need assistance, put General Rabi's number on speed dial. General Rabi, before you start the presentation, please give all the honorable members your cell number. Not today. Send me, I will send it to the members, because if the public has your cell number, you are going to be in trouble. This meeting is recorded, so please, General Rabi, General Satole, on behalf of the committee, I would really like to thank General Rabi. I send weekends, I send requests to him weekends, I send requests to him the middle of the night. General Rabi is always assisting. Thank you, General Satole. I don't know what we can make Major General Rabi, but he's my favorite person right now. Major General Rabi, you may continue.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Yes, ma'am, I'm not sure exactly what to say, but thank you. But it's my duty. I know what needs to be done, so I will always do that. I will also, again, make sure that my number is available. Thank you, Honourable Chair. I really do appreciate. I'm actually blushing on this side. Thank you, ma'am.
General Rabi, how can you be blushing? General Rabi may continue.
Honourable Chair, thank you, ma'am. Honourable Chair, yes, as the National Commissioner indicated, our presentation will be dealt with by myself and General Dempane, the CFO. We will just go, General Dempane will deal with the first part of the presentation, that is dealing with the national estimates or the estimates of national expenditure, the background, the trends, the budgets, the figures, etc. And then we will move to the second part of the presentation, Honourable Chair, where I will deal with the outcomes and sub-outcomes of our strategic plan, the background to our plan, as well as the performance measures per financial program. As I think the committee is well aware of now, ma'am, is that there are 5 programs: administration, Program 2, visible policing, detectives, Program 3, 4 is crime intelligence, and 5 is protection and security services. Honourable Chair, with your permission, I will then hand over to General Dempane, the CFO, who will deal with the first part of the presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable members, the Deputy Minister, National Commissioner, all the generals in the meeting. Thank you, Chairperson. I am on slide 5 of the presentation. Just a bit of background. The E&E, according to the National Treasury Directives, referring to the 2021 amounts to be appropriated for vote 28 police, it's as follows. This is appropriate. We appropriate the expenditure allocation per program, appropriate the expenditure allocation per economic classification. We just wanted to highlight that on slide 5. Going to slide 6, Chairperson, the budget is compiled for 3 years, but revised annually. I'm on slide 6, General Rabi. The budget is compiled for 3 years, but revised annually. On the 2021 MTF, Chairperson, financial year 23-24 has been added. There are changes to the baseline. They are influenced by various factors, such as prioritization between departments, focused inflationary increase, as well as substantial budget reductions. On slide 7, Chairperson, we just wanted to indicate from the allocation letter that we received from Treasury as vote 28 police that the departmental baselines were as follows. When we started for 2021, we were allocated 108.2 billion for 2023, 112.6 billion for 23-24, 108.5 billion. However, baseline reductions were introduced. These reductions are over 30 billion. In the main, the compensation of employees for 2021, we have seen a reduction of 11.1 billion, for 22-23, 14.8 billion, and for 23-24, 9.7 billion was reduced from our baseline. Departmental agencies also, there was a reduction there of 3.9 million, 4.4 million, as well as 4.7 million for 23-24. Goods and services as well, we have seen a reduction from our baseline with 673 million taken away for 21-22, 878 million for 22-23, as well as 1.5 billion for the outer year. Household, in the main, in relation to claims against the state, this will be your civil claims. 45 million is taken away from 21-22 with 53.5 million for 22-23, as well as 97.1 million for 23-24 reduced from our baseline. There was also a reprioritization from compensation of employees to transfer to household, in the main to deal with leave payouts on exit from SAPS, with 85 million for 21-22 and 85.8 million for 22-23 financial year, and 88.4 million for 23-24. The 2021 MTF allocations to the vote is as follows: 96.3 billion for 21-22, 96.8 billion for 22-23 financial year, and 97.083 billion for the outer year. In terms of slide 8, Chairperson, we just wanted to highlight the spending trends from 2017-18 to 23-24. If you will notice, our budget, we had a 4.8 average annual growth. For the new MTF, we are seeing a decrease of 0.8 or a minus of 0.8 average annual growth in this regard. In terms of slide number 9, Chairperson, this indicates allocation per financial programs. Financial programs reflect a broad purpose and function on which funds are expended. So in terms of the year-on-year increases, this slide indicates that for administration, which is program number 1, we have seen an increase of 4.9% in relation to the allocation. For visible policing, which is program 2, a decrease of 7.2%. That is an allocation from an allocation of 53.4 billion from previous financial year to 49.5 billion for this year and 49.8 billion for the next year, with 49.9 billion for the outer year. Detective services, which includes DPCI, there was an allocation of 19.6 billion for the previous financial year. For 21-22 financial year, a 19.5 billion allocation, which is a decline of 0.7%. For 22-23, 19.6 billion is allocated, which is a marginal increase of 0.6%. For 23-24, with a 19.7 billion allocation, which is an increase of 0.3%. Crime intelligence, which is program 4, was allocated previously 4.2 billion. For 21-22, there is 4.1 billion allocated, which is a decrease of 2.1%. 22-23, 4.1 billion allocation, which is a small increase of 0.1%, with an allocation of 4.119 for 23-24, representing a small increase of 0.1%. Protection and security services was allocated 3.264 billion in the previous financial year. For 21-22, there is an allocation of 3.232 billion, which represents a decrease of 1%, with an allocation of 3.241 billion for 22-23, which is a small increase of 0.3%, with an allocation of 3.245 billion in the outer year, which is an increase of 0.1%. Total allocation for the vote, as I previously indicated, is a decrease of 3.2% for 21-22, with a small increase of 0.5% for the 22-23 financial year and 0.2% increase in the outer year. Slide number 10, Chairperson. This is now the budget for 2021. Weight of economic classification. If you will recall, compensation of employees takes the bulk of this allocation at 78.1%, with goods and services at 16.9%, and transfer payments at 1.4%, and capital payments at 3.6%. Next slide, Chairperson, is just unpacking of the economic classification. These particular items represent goods and services to pursue purposes and functions. In terms of the year-on-year increases, compensation of employees, you will realize that it has been decreased with 1.1% from previous financial year to 2021, with a 76.147 billion that was allocated. For 21-22, it's 75.301 billion. For 21-22, 22-23, 75.3 billion, and the outer year with a 75.297 billion. Goods and services, 19.219 billion was allocated. There is a substantial decrease in terms of the 21-22 financial year, with an allocation of 16.270 billion, with 16.737 for 22-23 and 16.8 billion for 23-24. Transfers and subsidies, 1.614 billion allocated, with 1.333 billion for 21-22, which is a decrease of 17.4% as well. For 22-23, 1,258 billion allocated. It continues with a decrease of 5.6%. For 23-24, an allocation of 1,267 billion with a marginal increase of 0.7%. Payment of capital assets comprises of buildings and other fixed structures as well as machinery and equipment. In relation to buildings and other fixed structures, last year there was a 497 million allocated, and for 21-22, 947 million has been allocated. This is an increase of 90.2%. Essentially, this is a baseline recovery as there was a reprioritization in the previous financial year from this particular item. For 22-23, 961 million is allocated, which is a marginal increase of 1.5%. For 23-24, 8 billion is allocated, which is an increase of 4.4%. Machinery and equipment here, this is in the main, the procurement of vehicles. 2 billion was allocated in the previous financial year. There is an increase of 20.1% with an allocation of 2,497 billion for 21-22. 22-23, 2.594 billion will be allocated, which represents an increase of 3.9%. For 23-24, 2,708 billion will be allocated, which is an increase of 3.9%. In terms of the next slide, we just wanted to unpack the composition of the compensation budget for 21-22. Essentially, a total of 75.301 billion has been allocated to this particular item. This comprises of the wage bill at 58.724 billion, and cost of living salary adjustments, there is no provision. Pay progression at 1.5%, there is 681 million that we have put aside for this purpose. Allowances, which are your service allowance, night shifts, etc. There's a 2.265 billion that has been provided for. For overtime, normal overtime, there is 711 million that we have set aside to deal with the local elections that are taking place later this year. We have made provision for with 200 million to ensure that we police those elections successfully. Rental and housing allowance, there is a provision of 2.986 billion, and for medical schemes, which is James and Colmet, there is 9.734 billion that has been set aside. In total, for this year, for compensation of employees, we are having 75.301 billion that has been allocated in this regard. The next slide is just general remarks that we wanted to put to the committee, that we will notice that personnel is the primary cost driver in the vote, police, and also drives direct operational expenditures. It consists of 78% of the vote. Operational expenditures are predominantly goods and services and machinery and equipment in order to perform these services. Essentially, there are three budget types, which is compensation budget, operational budget, as well as capital budget. And on slide 14, Chair, these are our spending focus for 21-22 up to 23-24. We will be focusing in terms of spending on the reduction in the compensation of employees that will require SAPS to resource allocation, prioritization, as well as investment in technology. Gender-based violence still remains our focus. To this end, an additional emphasis on FCS units by allocating 1.272 billion for proactive as well as reactive response to these crimes. We will also sustain forensic services baseline allocation as increased in the 2021 financial year. We also will sustain the DPCI baseline allocation as recently increased. We will also focus on professionalizing the police service through skills development. We will continue to strengthen the criminal justice system by supporting the integrated criminal justice strategy. The department will also be investing in capital assets consisting of machinery and equipment, essentially transport assets, as well as mobile police stations. One of the focus areas will be also on other critical items such as bulletproofs, firearms, uniform and munitions. These are all the items that we require to do our job. We will also continue to focus on capacitation of the existing POP units and also through interventions, deployment in provinces. Next slide, Chairperson. To note
They indicate that departmental spending over the medium term will be in relation to the core programs with visible policing being allocated more than 51% of the weight of the total vote in 2021 financial year. Program 3, which is detective services in terms of weight, is also receiving a significant portion of more than 20%. Compensation of employees will remain the largest driver of spending, constituting 78% of the total budget for 21-22. Operational expenditure, including goods and services, transfer payments and payments for capital assets, comprising of 22% of the total budget in 21-22. Therefore, of importance, we must note the growth rate for the vote from 2021 to 23-24 is minus 0.8% due to substantial budget reductions, especially on compensation of employees. The next presentation, Chair, with your permission, I'll hand over to General Ravi to give an overview of outcomes and sub-outcomes for 2020 to 2025 in terms of our 2021 annual performance plan. Thank you, Chairperson.
General Ravi?
Honorable Chair, thank you. Just to give the committee background on the plan itself. Firstly, on slide 17, a reflection on the specific 5 key drivers within our strategic plan that informs the development of our plan. And on the first area, we have underpinning and stamping the authority of the state in the thorough and responsive investigation of crime, intelligence-led policing, a collaborative and consultative approach to policing, the 4 focus area, and then those 4, Honorable Chair, are outward-looking priority areas, and then an inward-looking one is the professional and capable SAPS. I'm not going to go into the detail on the sides because that will be reflected in our slides further down in the presentation. As far as the background is concerned, Honorable Chair, there's a couple of factors that we had to take into consideration in developing our plan, annual performance plan for 21-22. Now, first of all is the consideration of the medium-term strategic framework of government 2019 to 24. That is the apex plan of government, and we are basically required to include those specific commitments and indicators in our annual performance plan. Honorable Chair, you will note that in our presentation there are specific icons that we use, and the one in red that illustrates the link to the MTSF, where we indicate to the committee that this specific indicator emanates from the medium-term strategic framework, and it is then included in our plan. We have been criticized about the number of indicators. We've managed to bring it down. Honorable Chair, it's not an easy task due to the diversity of the functions in the organization, but we are currently standing at 93 performance indicators that we are monitoring in our annual performance plan. We also had to take in consideration the advice by both National Treasury and DPME that there needs to be a level of consistency in our performance measures over the MTSF period for the purpose of reporting midterm and end term, making sure that we are measuring the same type of indicators. And then also, Honorable Chair, what that complicated the exercise a bit was the adjustment that we had to do to our targets due to COVID-19 or the impact of COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 created a situation that is abnormal, so we have to consider the impact of COVID-19, also taking into account it is something that may pass over the next couple of years, or hopefully within this year, and cutting that specific impact on the achievement of targets. We also went through quite an extensive consultation process. It was difficult with COVID-19 restrictions, but we managed to do it virtually, and we submitted our first draft of the APP. And then we also submitted the final draft that was tabled in Parliament, which the committee is aware of. Now, as far as the performance measures and budget allocation per financial program is concerned, Honorable Chair, I will first deal with Program 1, Administration. And just a brief breakdown of the budget allocation in that, I will specifically focus on the right-hand side, the top right column. The allocation that was made in the 21-22 financial year for this program amounts to 19.9 billion. It is slightly higher, you will note, than the previous financial year. of which 19.7 billion is incorporated in corporate services, 84 million for management, and 62 million for the ministry. The corporate services, just to indicate where the spending focus is on human resource development, there's a 2.1 billion allocation TMS, 3.1 billion allocation supply chain management, 4.2 billion. That includes 947 million for capital building projects. And then within the human resource management environment, 1.9 billion, financial services 1.1, and corporate support 1.2. In terms of the specific indicators, Honourable Chair, what I just briefly explained the layout of the slides. On the left-hand side in the dark blue block, you will note the specific output or focus areas, and then next to that is the specific indicator that we have included in our APP. And then to the right, Honourable Chair, I will focus there on the targets specifically set for 21-22. The rest are available, and as you indicated, that has been distributed. Now, the first focus area here is improving our regulation of firearms, focusing on the losses of SAPS owned firearm, reducing that with a further 10% in the 21-22 financial year as indicated. Our output, improving access to policing services. There are two indicators. The first one talks to the construction of new police stations. There are, in terms of both these indicators, there are dependencies on the first one on the National Department of Public Works, because they are responsible for the construction, and then your contracts in terms of the mobile contact points. We are planning a further 3 new police stations in the 22 financial year, followed by 7 and 8 in the following years in the MTF period. Mobile contact points, we are planning an additional 15 in 21-22, with 15 and 10 in the outer years of the MTF. Then the modernization of our network. This is a TMS indicators. There are 2. The first area is our digital radio communication infrastructure sites, where we are targeting the modernization or upgrade of 4 high sites. There is a dependency on CETA, but we have taken this into consideration in our planning processes. The same applies to the next one, making sure that the targets that we are setting is achievable with taking into consideration the constraints that are mentioned there. As far as our wide area networks is concerned, that is linked to the national network communication infrastructure sites, we are targeting 90 WAN sites for the current 21-22 financial year, 50 and 80 in the outer years of the MTF. Then our training indicators. Honourable Chair, you will note that there's a little red block illustrating or containing an icon and then GBV NSP. This is just an indication to the committee that these specific indicators are then linked to the Gender-Based Violence and Femicide National Strategic Plan. And there we have included the specific priorities that are in the National Strategic Plan. Now, there are 3 prioritized training areas: crime prevention, crime committed against women and children, and crime investigation. And we are targeting 97% of the planned learners, or the numbers that we are going to train in the upcoming year, to be declared competent. The same applies to our specialized capabilities, where we have 3 priority areas. That is public order policing, forensic science, crime intelligence, and cybercrime. My apologies, there's 4, not 3. And there we're also targeting 97% of those in those specific specialized capability training. 97% of the people, learners trained, needs to be declared competent. In our ethics and integrity, Honourable Chair, we have an annual plan for ethics and integrity, where there are specific targets to be achieved in each one of the quarters. For instance, the financial disclosures, the certificates for remunerative work, etc. And our target in that regard is that 100% of those specific commitments need to be achieved in the financial year. IPID-related investigations. The 90% of the IPID-related investigations recommendations needs to be finalized within 60 calendar days. That is in line with the targets that we set in the previous financial years. Then, as far as sound financial management is concerned, Honourable Chair, we maintain a 0 tolerance toward the incidence of unauthorized expenditure. There is an example, Chair, where we link the MTSF. You will note the little red block with the wording MTSF 1924. That indicates that this specific indicator is linked to indicators within broader government's MTSF. Then there are a couple of indicators, Honourable Chair, where we had to adjust our targets in terms of sound financial management. And you will note the first one is the decrease in the number of incidents of confirmed irregular expenditure. Where we were initially targeting 5%, there was a directive from DPSA regarding these specific indicators where they gave specific targets to be included by the respective departments. And you will note, Chair, that we have aligned. So our target for irregular expenditure decrease is now 67.5% in line with the DPSA directives. The same applies to the number of incidents of fruitless and wasteful expenditure. There we initially targeted 5% reduction. We had to adjust it to 70%, 80% and 90% in the outer years of the MTF. So that adjustment has been done in line, as I indicated, with the DPSA directive. Then the regulatory compliance and performance management, our audits. We are targeting all the audits that will be approved in terms of the audit plan for SAPS. All those audits needs to be conducted in the financial year. Forensic audits, we had 8 in the previous financial year. So those that are being targeted in the upcoming, the current financial year needs to be addressed. Inspections, we are targeting 231. That is in terms of our approved inspection plan for inspectorate. So all of those 231 identified inspections need to be done in the current financial year. And then, Chair, we have developed a draft corporate governance framework for South African Police Service, and our commitment is that this must be fully developed and implemented by the 31st of March 2022. Honourable Chair, that concludes the specific, the background information and specific performance measures that are associated with Program 1. Ma'am, I assume I need to stop there and then allow for discussions on Program 1.
Honourable members, are you ready for discussions on Program 1? Or could I go to Program 2? Honourable members, can you hear me?
Yes, Chair, I've got my hand up.
Whitfield, Honourable Whitfield.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's just one very quick question. If we could get an indication of those. Yes, Chair.
Honourable Whitfield, do we want to take questions now on Program 1?
That's up to you, Chair. I do have questions.
All right. Honourable Mapatsu.
Honourable Chair, I was saying that, yes, Honourable Chair, I was saying because we received the documents in time, I thought we would have made our notes and then they finish the presentation, then we go face by face. Program 1, Program 2.
Yes. Honourable members, could you hold your questions? Let us do the presentations, and then when I take the questions, I will go through Program 1, Program 2 very systematically. So can you just hold your questions and do the next presentation? And then I will do the questions in terms of Program 1 and then Program 2 and like that. So colleagues, can we then go to Program 2, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I will then continue with Program 2, that is visible policing. Program 2, in terms of the specific budget allocations, Honourable Chair, you will note that there's a decrease that was also highlighted by General Ndampane. The total allocation amounts to 49.5 billion, of which the bigger portion is with crime prevention, 38.2 billion, border security, 2.2. Specialized interventions, that includes our special task force, the National Intervention Unit, etc. There we have an allocation of 4.5. billion, and then facilities 4.5 billion. Then just a breakdown in terms of the specific elements of the sub-programs. If you look at crime prevention, that includes 34.9 billion on crime prevention specifically, 1.1 billion on rail police, 891 million for K9, mounted police 145 million, youth gender-based violence. This is only the preventative and project portion, 30 million, flying squad 1.1 billion, detained persons 236 million, etc. And then border security, that includes ports of entry, that 2.2 billion. Specialized interventions, as breakdown is special task force, a total allocation of 78 million. National intervention unit 309 million. TRTs 448 million, and public order policing 2.6 billion. And then also to provide for municipal services a total of 1.3 billion, and leases 1.5 billion, and accommodation charges for state-owned facilities a total of 1.6 billion. In terms of the respective performance indicators, Honourable Chair, the first focus area is the improved regulation of firearms. There we are focusing on the recovery, first of all, of lost, stolen and illegal firearms, where we're targeting a 1% increase in terms of recoveries. The number of identified lost SAPS-owned firearms recovered, targeting a 10% increase to 593. And then the application of firearm licenses, the CFR, where our target is that 90% of the firearm licenses needs to be finalized within 120 working days. The next focus area, this is a link to the GBV National Strategic Plan about the availability of drugs. There we are focusing on the closure of identified illegal liquor outlets, where we are targeting 100% in the total MTF period of those to be closed. The reduction in reported contact crimes is linked to the MTSF. We are targeting a reduction of 7.48% over the MTF period. Honourable Chair, that is in line with the commitment that was made by the President in terms of a 50% reduction in reported contact crime. And then also the sub-indicator of that is the percentage reduction in contact crime at our top 30 high crime stations, where we are targeting a 7.42% reduction. Escapes, we are targeting a 2% reduction to 526, as it is indicated. And then our recovery for stolen and robbed vehicles, we're maintaining that at 25,352. Linked to the GBV plan, our percentage of police stations that are rendering a victim-friendly service, all 100% of our police stations, 1,156, must render a victim-friendly service to specifically your victims of gender-based violence. Then we are targeting specific categories of crime. You will note that these next two indicators, specifically against violence against women and violence against children, this is reflected in medium-term strategic framework of government, as well as the GBV National Strategic Plan, where we are targeting a 6.9% reduction in contact crimes against women and a 6.73% reduction in contact crimes against children. Community partnerships, we are targeting 99.57% of our police stations that must have a fully functional community police forums. There are only 3 police stations that are excluded because they are very sparsely populated and it's not practical to have a CPF in that specific environment. Provinces, there are 3 main interventions in terms of police visibility. The first one is our community in blue concept. We had targeted 3 provinces in this financial year, or the previous financial year. We are targeting another 6 provinces in the 21-22 financial year. Then the provinces where we are implementing the traditional policing concept, we are rolling out to another province in 21-22. And the last one is the number of cities and towns where we have implemented the Safer City framework. We have piloted it at 10 pilot cities in the 2021 financial year. We are targeting another 10 in the 21-22 financial year. This is Chair, may I continue?
You're struggling.
Okay, Chair, there's a dependency in terms of this specific indicator, as it is a multidisciplinary approach, interdepartmental. There are a couple of other departments involved, as well as our local municipalities, but as indicated, we are targeting another 10 cities in the upcoming financial year. The next couple of indicators talks to the management of specialized interventions, public order policing, etc., as well as our border control. Now, these indicators, Honourable Chair, are driven by incidents that takes place in the financial year, and our commitment as far as all of those are concerned is that we will respond to 100% of these incidents. The first category of incidents is peaceful crowd management incidents, where we have to respond to all incidents where the deployment of public order policing is required. The same applies to the unrest crowd management incidents, where 100% of the requests received for the deployment of public order policing capabilities need to be responded to. The deployment of our higher risk capabilities, in specific as far as incidents of a security nature is concerned, where specific specialized interventions are required, we are also committing that 100% of such a request received will be responded to by our specialized intervention capabilities. Illegal mining linked to the medium-term strategic framework. Here we are committing to address 100% of the requests received, to address, this is specifically your high risk request in terms of tackling your illegal mining as it has been identified by the relevant stakeholders. Border security. Here we have two categories: wanted persons and circulated stolen and robbed vehicles, that are identified on our crime-related systems, the movement control system and the enhanced movement control system. So 100% of those hits that are identified in terms of wanted persons and circulated stolen and robbed vehicles must be responded to at our ports of entry. Then we are looking at the profiling of cargo in terms of land, sea, and air ports. There we are also committing that 100% of the profiled vehicles, the profiled containers, and the profiled cargo consignments at these three types of ports of entries, where these have been profiled, the necessary searching will take place in terms of preventing illegal facilitation of persons, the contraband and illicit goods. So that commitment remains at 100% at our ports of entry. Honourable Chair, that is the rundown of the specific indicators that are also included in Program 2. Those have been scheduled for today, ma'am. I assume I can stop here and then allow for you to facilitate the process further. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
You can go ahead with Program 3.
Oh, okay. Honourable Chair, thank you. I assume that, okay, then I will do all the programs. Program 3, Detective Service. In terms of the allocation for the 21-22 financial year, the total is 19.5 billion, with 13.3 going to crime investigation, 2.6 to the Criminal Record Center, 1.4 to the Forensic Science Laboratory, and just over 2 billion to specialized investigations. Now, the crime investigation portion, the first sub-program, that includes crime detection, the detective service with 10.7 billion allocation, vehicle theft units 535 million, stock theft units 617 million, and family violence and child protection units 1.1 billion. There's also continued focus on forensic services, taking into account the reprioritization that took place in the previous financial year towards the previously consumable fund that were funded by CJS funding. The specialized investigations, DPCI, there's a significant resourcing of DPCI, and effective from 2016-17, Treasury has earmarked specific budget allocation for this purpose, and it has been ring-fenced accordingly. Reducing levels of contact crime. This is in terms of our first commitment. What we are measuring, Honourable Chair, will be the percentage increase in our detection rate for contact crime, as well as the subcategory of the 30 contact crime wait stations. There we are targeting a 55.77% detection rate for contact crime, as well as a 40% detection rate for contact crime at the high crime wait stations. We are also targeting outstanding cases that's more older than 3 years, specifically relating to contact crime. And the intention is to down manage the outstanding cases with 14.97%. The outstanding wanteds at the 30 high crime wait stations, we are targeting the 10.25% reduction in identified wanted persons at the high crime wait stations. Then linked to the GBV National Strategic Plan, there are 2 indicators. The first one is the increase in the detection rate for crimes against women, and a similar indicator for detection rate for crimes against children. For women, we are targeting a 75.25% detection rate, and for children, a 70.15% detection rate. Identified drug syndicates neutralized with arrest. This is in response to the reduction of crime syndicates. There we are targeting that 60% of those syndicates identified in year needs to be neutralized with arrest. On the same topic, the increase in the number of arrests for dealing in illicit drugs, we continue to target a 5% increase in the number of arrests for dealing in illicit drugs. And then the reduction of organized crime, criminal groups and gangs. Honorable Chair, yeah, I just need to mention the ones that I'm dealing with now, the couple of indicators that talks to syndicates, etc., are the ones that will be dealt with by the detective service, the SAPS detective service. There's a separate number of indicators on that will be dealt with by DPCI, which I will also highlight. So the reduction of organized criminal groups and gangs, there we are also targeting that 60% of those gangs and groups that has been identified needs to be neutralized with arrest. Enhancing our DNA database, we are targeting 70% of our Schedule 8 arrested offences. We have to take buccal samples for the purpose of enhancing the data available on the DNA database. Then we have a group of indicators, Chair, that talks to the utilization of forensic leads. We have identified different types of leads. For instance, in the first one, your person-to-person DNA investigative leads. And our target is to down manage those outstanding leads with 70% in the financial year, 5.8% down management of outstanding crime-to-crime DNA investigative leads, 6.7% reduction in outstanding fingerprint investigative leads, and a 13.3% reduction in outstanding IBIS investigative leads. Trial-ready case dockets, now we are moving to the activities of the DPCI. The first one, Honorable Chair, is the trial-ready case dockets for serious corruption in the public sector. That is focusing on serious corruption in the public and private sector. They are targeting a 65% trial-ready rate, 65% trial-ready rate also for dockets of serious corruption within the private sector, and the same for serious corruption within the JCPS cluster. The registered projects on serious organized crime projects, they are targeting a 72% closure of those projects in year. And then linked to the MTSF, the identification and dismantling of clandestine laboratories, with arrest targeting 90% of those identified to be dismantled by means of arrest. The percentage trial-ready case dockets, this is relating to commercial crime. For serious commercial crime, a target is set at 65%, and the successful investigation of serious cyber-related support case files linked to the MTSF commitment, the target is 65% of those cyber-related support files to be successfully investigated within 90 calendar days. Moving to the activities of the Criminal Record and Forensic Science Laboratory, the first couple of indicators, Honorable Chair, talks to the activities of the Criminal Record Center. There we are committing that the updating of result of trials for persons found guilty to be processed, 95% of those to be processed within 20 calendar days. The result of trial updates for not guilty verdicts, 95% of those to be processed within 20 calendar days. And then the generating of original previous conviction reports, 95% of the requests received to be processed and finalized within 15 calendar days. The laboratories, the percentage of routine case exhibits finalized, our target remains at 75% to be finalized within 35 calendar days. The non-routine case exhibits, just the difference between the two, Honorable Chair, routine case exhibits is where you receive where they receive single exhibit for the specific cases, and when non-routine includes a bulk or multiple exhibits on a specific case. So in terms of the non-routine case exhibits, are targeting 70% within 113 calendar days. And then the percentage of case exhibits not yet finalized with index or exceeding the prescribed time frame. This is basically the backlog. We are targeting a backlog that should not exceed 10% as far as the forensic services is concerned. And exhibits, that includes your exhibits. Your enhanced processing, continuing with the percentage of ballistic intelligence case exhibits, we are targeting 95% of those exhibits to be processed within 35 calendar days. DNA intelligence case exhibits, Honorable Chair, we are targeting 80% to be finalized within 90 calendar days. Honorable Chair, then moving to Program 4, Crime Intelligence. If we look just at the breakdown of the budget allocation to crime intelligence, you will note it is slightly lower, 4.1 billion compared to 4.2 billion in the previous financial year, with 1.6 billion going to crime intelligence operations and 2.4 billion going to intelligence and information management. Now, in this specific program, the largest portion goes to compensation, and this also includes operational cost on fuel, fleet maintenance, travel, and a subsistence allowance. And it's just important to note that the Secret Service account is not part of this specific vote 28 of police. Now, the areas that we will be monitoring on the crime intelligence front within Program 4, the first area talks to network operations. Now, these network operations are conducted to infiltrate, penetrate criminal groupings and to collect intelligence on priority threats. And we are targeting that 60.85% of the network operations, a total of 682, of which is 415 to be successfully terminated in the 21-22 financial year. Honorable Chair, then we have 6 indicators that talks to the utilization of intelligence reports, and we are targeting the specific operationalization of these reports at the various organizational levels. At district level, in terms of proactive intelligence, that's for your preventative measures, 70% utilization at district level, 80% utilization at provincial level, and a 90% utilization at national level. Looking at the reactive intelligence report for your investigative and similar purposes, the utilization or operationalization of these reports at the various levels. District levels, we are targeting 70%, provincial 80%, and national level 90%. The next couple of indicators talks to our security risk and vetting assessments that are being conducted in SAPS. Now, in the upcoming financial year, we are targeting a total of 577 security clearances to be finalized. The ICT security assessments finalized in SAPS in terms of the plan, 50% of those, the commitment is 1,185 to be conducted in the financial year or in year. And the percentage of overt mandatory physical security assessments, we are targeting 156 or 100% of those that are planned within the financial year, as I said, totaling to 156. Then the mutual assistance and cooperation between SAPS and other national and international law enforcement agencies. There are 2 indicators that specifically talks to requests received from Interpol. The first one is cross-border operation requests from Interpol. We are committing to respond to 100% of those requests received. And the second category of request is in relation to the arrest of identified transnational crime suspects that needs to be facilitated. And there we are also committing to 100% of attend to 100% of the requests that are received. The last financial program, Honourable Chair, includes Program 5, Protection and Security Services. And now this allocation is slightly lower than its 3.232 billion compared to 3.264 billion in the previous financial year, with 1.7 billion going to VIP protection services, 1.1 to static protection, 89 million to the government security regulator, and 279 million to operational support. Now, this specific program provides for protection
General,
services of the
my
president, deputy
apologies,
president, former president, spouses, and identified
My
dignitaries while
apologies,
in
General.
transit. Static
My
and
apologies, General. Honorable members, please note that this program also includes local and foreign dignitaries. We've received many questions on this, and honorable members, I will take enough time for questions. So please do not think that we are in a rush. We have sufficient time. I'll take it program by program to take sufficient questions. Sorry for interruption. You may continue, General.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. As you indicated just now, the static mobile security provides for protection of other local and foreign dignitaries and places in which all dignitaries, including persons related to the President and the Deputy President, are present, and then compensation is a prominent element of this specific allocation. And there's also significant overtime cost, your travel and subsistence cost associated with this program is also significant. Honourable Chair, the indicators in this environment is split between the sub-program protection and security services and then the presidential protection component. And first of all, it talks to the security breaches during in-transit protection. There we are targeting 0 security breaches as far as in-transit and static protection is concerned. And then the number of security breaches at identified government installations and VIP residences, there we are also targeting 0 security breaches. And then as far as the physical security assessment is concerned, at identified buildings, government buildings and strategic installations, a total of 122 strategic installations needs to be audited in the current financial year, as well as a total of 209 national key points. And this will be dealt with by the protection and security capability, security services capability. And then moving to presidential protection, very similar indicators, security breaches during physical protection. There we are targeting 0 security breaches. And then security breaches at identified government installations, there we are also targeting 0 security breaches. And then the presidential protection capability needs to conduct evaluations at a total of 10 national key points. Honourable Chair, that concludes the presentation. That includes all 5 programs I've mentioned, and I've taken you through the specific indicators that we will be monitoring and reporting on, as well as the budget allocations in respect of these financial programs. Honourable Chair, thank you for the opportunity, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Could we have General Sotole, if there's any comments you wish to make?
Thank you very much, Chair. I think, Chair, for now, there's very little to add, just except again reminding the committee that we've gone on to a serious reprioritization exercise, because it won't help us to complain about a budget cut, but rather to adjust and align so that we still make sure that policing continues. For that, we changing our investment into technology, and we also then focusing on the force multiplier, which is enhancing, that is the reservists, so that we are able to continue with the normal policing. We've also introduced the policingnomics, which is the new concept where we shaping policing in such a manner that it supports the economy to grow. Otherwise, from here, Chair, will be guided by the questions from the honorable members, if there's any. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, General Sitole. Honorable members, I take program 1. Please, honorable members, you have sufficient time so we can really interrogate and ask all the questions which you would like to ask. I've noted Honorable Whitfield and then Honorable Groenewald. Those are the hands I have up for now. Honorable Whitfield, Groenewald, and then Shembeni. Honorable Whitfield, you may start.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. With respect to program 1, just one question. In terms of new police station builds over the medium term, can we get an indication in this meeting which police stations have been identified in the upcoming financial year? In particular, I'm interested as to whether the long-awaited development of the Bethelsdorp police station is on the agenda. So if we could just get an indication as to which police stations or which sites have been identified for development, so that we can also provide proper oversight over the coming months and years to make sure that these projects are completed. Then, Chairperson, with respect, so that's just program 1 then, Chair. Should I wait until the other programs? Are you going to go program by program? Okay.
Yes, please, Honorable Whitfield. I'll take another round of questions for program 1. As I said, I'm not in a rush. Remember, we were supposed to do 1, 2, and 3 today, and then tomorrow we were supposed to continue. So I'm taking sufficient questions. We really have to interrogate these budgets today and tomorrow. Honorable Groenewald, Shembeni, and I had Meshu, but his hand has disappeared. Honorable Groenewald.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, firstly, I want to start to say that if I look at program 1 and we look at the budget, I am one of the people who always say that we must ensure that when it comes to compensation of our members in the police services, we must ensure that it is adequate, that it is market related, because we have people who work very hard. But Chair, I don't think it is acceptable that we have 78% of our budget has been allocated to compensation. That's too high. And as far as the structure of the police is concerned, we will have to look into the matter. We cannot continue with 78% of the budget according to program 1 for compensation. Mentioning the construction and reconstruction of the restructuring, let me say that, Chair. The Commissioner, when he started, he referred to the restructuring. And my question will go to the Commissioner. Normally, when there's some restructuring in the police services and appointments, the Portfolio Committee is also part of the information of that prior to the execution of the restructuring. I can't remember that we were involved, no, well, not say involved, but we were informed of these possible restructuring. So I would just like to know when did this really happen, and why not in consultation, but not with prior information to the Portfolio Committee. Chairperson, I'm coming to program 1. Slide 24, and it's about the output of the improved regulation of firearms. My question is this: the firearm tracking system is not operational. Now, we want to ensure that the number of SAPS owned firearms that are what's reported as stolen or lost be reduced and everything. Now, my question is, if we don't have a firearm tracking system, how can we ensure that the integrity of the figures of lost or stolen firearms in the police services are correct? And what are they doing at the moment with no RTS? Further, Chairperson, my last question, and there are many we can ask, but let's limit it. It's a simple question on the municipal services. It's slide 33. I want to know whether there is any arrear payment to municipal services by police services, and if so, what amount? Because we have a problem on local government level where state departments, they do not pay the municipal services, but I want to know whether the police services is up to date with that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Shembeni, the Blanche, and then Meshu.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you to the National Commissioner for the presentation. And then I will ask a few questions about the firearm tracing system that is being offline. How does such instability affect the tracing of the firearms? Secondly, with the progress made, or what progress have been made by the department in finalizing firearm license applications since the committee's previous engagement on the 16th of February 2021. Thirdly, I think this question I'll be asking it for a second time now about the ICDMS, the Integrity Case Docket Management System. Can the department indicate to us the number of police stations in which the ICDMS has been implemented and it's being used? And then as at the end of 2020 and 2021 financial year. And what is the number of the stations that are still outstanding? Now, will the SAPS recent inclusion in the Connect South Africa project expedite the rollout of the ICDMS? Thank you, Chairperson. I still have some more questions. I think if you can give us another time, and then I'll add. Or lastly, and importantly, is what is the current state of training academies in terms of the infrastructure and trainers in South Africa? Thank you.
Honorable Shembeni, would you like to ask your questions? Because we all have sufficient time now to ask questions.
Yes, last two more questions. What is the current compliance level for the submission of financial disclosures, that SAPS certificate, on remuneration work outside the department? What steps are taken against delinquent employees, especially in the department's senior management structures? Is the attendance of ethics and integrity advocacy and awareness programs mandatory to all the staff? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. The Blanche, and then Meshu.
Chairperson, thank you. Chairperson, I want to start with the focus areas of the National Development Plan. And I haven't seen a lot in this presentation about that, and maybe we can just get more clarity on that. Strengthening the criminal justice system, make the police service more professional, demilitarize the police, build safety using an integrated approach, and build community participation in safety. Chairperson, in the SONA, the state president acknowledged that the key to South Africa's recovery is tackling crime. Now, it was quite interesting for me to see that in the budget, visible policing, and I know that we were not there yet, but visible policing, the biggest budget cut happened in their environment to the extent that numbers are going to decrease to 181,344 to 162,945, etc. So, Chairperson,
my apologies, Honorable to Blanche. Could you please remove the presentation?
I can't remove it, Chairperson. It's
No,
not
you, Honorable to Blanche. Thank you. I just wanted to see your face. Now I can see your face.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to show you that I'm still alive and well. May I go ahead, Chairperson?
Alive and well and handsome.
Thank you so much.
You can continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. As I said, the numbers are going down. Visible policing are experiencing or going to feel the biggest budget cut. Police stations are not built. Chairperson, you know, and there's also, you know, a budget implication, you know, for vehicles and stuff like that. Yeah. So how are we going to do it, Chairperson? I want to get some clarity on that. How are we going to do that? Chairperson, then what, for instance, what is going to be done to strengthen the firearm register? How are we going to do that? I haven't seen a lot in here. So, Chairperson, that is just general remarks that I have at the moment. There is a significant shift away from core service delivery programs of the department, and it is largely attributed to the decrease in personnel expenditure. Chairperson, maybe also the last thing that I want to say, we hear about, you know, new developments that is quite interesting. The friendly city, all that stuff. Maybe we need an explanation about that and how that is going to be rolled out. Thank you, Chairperson, for now.
To Honorable Blanche, Deputy Minister, you're welcome. I've noticed that the Deputy Minister has joined us. I'll take the last question and then I'll give you a chance, Deputy Minister, if you so wish. Honorable Meshu.
Thank you, Chairperson. Over the years, members of the police committee have been complaining about a heavy top-down structure at the head office. And when we see that 78% of the budget goes to compensation, one can easily conclude that the concerns that members have been raising over the years, that our headquarters appears to be overstaffed, and monies that could be allocated to other portfolios, such as visible policing, is not happening. As my colleague said, it is a great concern to look at, even though we are not there yet, but at the budget reduction in visible policing, while compensation still remains this high. If 78% of the budget that goes to compensation was resulting in crime reduction, one could say maybe we can justify that. But crime, the perception and experience that we have on the ground is that car crime is not going down. Crime is not stabilized. The crime is increasing, even though facts and figures sometimes would not agree with that. But the experience that people have on the ground is that issues of crime, issues of domestic violence are increasing, and yet so much of the budget is going to compensation. So my simple question on this one is, has the police taken into consideration the problem and concerns that members of the Committee of Police were raising over the years, that our police department is top-down heavy when it comes to administration? And secondly, people who don't feel safe prefer to have a firearm to defend themselves. Now, there are a number of people who are complaining that the time it takes for their application to renew their firearm licenses indicates or create a perception that the state does not want citizens who want to have their own protection because they don't feel safe and they cannot afford even private security companies, but they want to have a firearm to ensure that they are safe. Becomes difficult for them, for their licenses to be renewed speedily. There are people who say they've been waiting for their license, firearm license, to be renewed for 12 months, even some say 2 years they've been waiting. So I would want to know, where is the problem? Is the perception that it is an indirect way of saying we don't want you to be to have a firearm correct or not? And if it is not correct, why is it taking a year to 2 years for people's firearms licenses to be renewed? Thank you, Chairperson.
Sorry, Honorable Molekwa.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me start by appreciating the presentation by the department, and also appreciate the fact that at least there is a slight improvement on the side of the department on many programs that have been presented today. Chairperson, I just want to find out from the department, because there is this information that out of plus minus 4,000 gender-based violence and femicide cases, only 130 are attended to. So I just want to check with the department what could be the challenge on the backlog, and if there are indeed the information is true, what could be done, or there's any mechanism from the department to fast track this backlog on the cases of gender-based violence. The second issue, Chairperson, that I want to check with the department is on the new police stations. I just want to find out with the department on the status of Makapanstad and Gamweka police station in the Northwest Province. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mapatsu, can you just wait a minute? I'll just thank the Deputy Minister. Deputy Minister, you can just say one word and then we can continue, and then you can come in later again. Deputy Minister, we received your apology that you were in another cluster meeting.
Yes, indeed, Chair. We are attending a cabinet committee on JCPS, but we have just finished now. That's why I've joined, and good morning to you and the members of the committee. National Commissioner and the team, good morning. I don't think I must say more except to appreciate that we have been accepted into the platform, and we'll listen and follow the deliberations. And obviously, if the meeting goes beyond 1 o'clock, I will request to be excused at 1 because we must go to the forensic laboratory here in Cape Town. But thank you very much, Chair, for allowing us.
Thank you very much, DM, and all success with your work. I know that DM, we have put tremendous strain on you. And DM, many times it's because you are so extremely helpful and very patient with the members. The chairperson is also on your neck all the time. So DM, I would also like to formally thank you.
Listened